You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Sitting looking back on all the times we shared, when I acted like I just didn't really care, and it wasn't fair. You stood by me, girl, when I was so untrue. But this is my promise, girl, I give to only you. Let me be the one, you the one you come running to. When you need me, I'll be there, just to let you know that I do care. Baby, I promise, girl, I promise, I'll always be true. And baby, I promise, girl, I promise you that I'll be right here for you, no matter the problem, babe. I'll stand by your side, be right by your side. Yeah, can never be denied.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. As always, this is episode 436 of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. It is your host, Nathan Snell. Hope you're all doing well, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. I just finished recording episode 435. These two episodes will be up sometime tomorrow at the latest. Thursday, we have a special guest coming on for episode 437. And then 438 is the NFL mock draft. I'll have that. Hopefully have that done by Friday-ish. This episode, we're talking about Maryland women's basketball. We are officially now at the point where I think we're getting ready. We're now awaiting to see where they will be placed for the NCAA tournament. This week, after losing Friday in the Big Ten tournament, they are now 18th. And kind of I want to have a little season debrief on this season. We finished fourth in the Big Ten, especially with 4 new teams coming in. I still think we kind of exceeded some expectations. I really thought the injuries, for the most part, losing Bree McDaniel in the win against Minnesota, and then Shai went down in the game in the loss to Texas. We didn't have Sailor Poffenbarger for a couple games. We saw some announcements where players had the red shirt. Kendall Walker announced her redshirting this year because of an injury. Emily Fisher, coming off an injury, you start to see her get a good plethora of minutes. I think she has been contributing fairly well. But I really think that this season, I think there's been some highs and there's been some lows. I felt like at times we've played up and we've played down to certain competition. I liked how I think with the Big Ten play, I think it kind of really tested this team. I thought the non-conference schedule at times was very there was some hiccups. I thought especially against George Mason, and congratulations to them as they won their tournament. There really wasn't a lot that stood out to me. I mean, I think there were some teams, I think, from a matchup perspective, example, UCLA, we had Amari DeBerry out there as a starter. Definitely, I think could have been used more. I mean, but, we did as much as we could in terms of delaying her. I will say for the most part, some of the games where you kind of look at, example, Senior Day, that's a win. Obviously, you wish you could have Ohio State on the road. That stung for sure. But I think those 3 losses from January 20th, and really that Ohio State loss, I think really motivated them. I think to go on the run that they did and finishing the way that they did, I'm really proud of the girls, especially winning Ohio State. I think to close out the season in revenge mode, and it definitely is why March is madness for sure. Especially in a season where Shy Sellers, I think, has had definitely a season where she definitely deserves her flowers, especially the All Big Ten team. Kayleen Schmeichel and her were both named to first on the all first team. I was disappointed Christina Dawsey, who was reigning Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East last year, didn't get any love. If Bree McDaniel didn't get hurt, I think she would have made she would definitely made an All Big Ten team. I've definitely seen growth in Ava McKinney. I put a tweet out that look for her to definitely win an accolade next year. The potential for everyone has definitely is there. I know Sarah Tuiasa, they got the sportsmanship honoree. But outside of that, I mean, I think sky's the limit. I think really this team goes as far, in my opinion, as Shiny Sellers takes it, because, by default, she is our leader. And I know she's been hobbled with the knee injury. And let's talk about the Big Ten tournament loss to Michigan over this past Friday. We got trounced painfully. The final score was 98-71. We were the 4th seed. We had a double bye, and we played the Michigan Wolverines. At that first quarter, we were down 25 points. They won that 25 run. I'm not going to lie. Like I still kind of like I looked even throughout the weekend. I looked back at the tape. I looked and just try to really wrap my mind of what really happened. Like, how did it get to that the way it was? Because the game started out at six points apiece, and Michigan just did. I don't know if it was the momentum from Michigan's win the previous night. I don't know if that played a role, but it just was a Maryland. It's like you get punched in the face and it's like you're dazed, and that's what it was like in the first quarter. But the second quarter, we came back and we responded with a 23-3 run, and Sarah Tiviasu, I think, especially as a late, definitely picked her game up. She scored 16 points on 4 shooting in that quarter. And then painfully, coming out of halftime, especially in the third quarter, Michigan had put up by 20 points again, and by then the game was over. And you look at the stats wise, you could say everybody, some didn't play well. Look, we're going to have it happens. Shy only played 19 minutes. She was 1 of 3. Let's keep it real. Her knee, she's not 100%. And I think, credit Michigan's defense. I think they did a lot being aggressive on her offensively. For a month and a half, dealing with the injury is not easy. But my biggest thing is, especially with her, I feel like some of the load should be taken off of her. And that's when you look at this roster was definitely built to take some of the load off. And you kind of look at the stats and you go, okay, why did it not reflect? Had on both sides of the floor. I just think the injury, but again, she's going to be fine. Just one of those nights. It happens. As a cohesive unit, we've got to do better when it comes to taking pride in, especially against 3-point shooting. I really, really thought that when you look at how we looked against allowing Michigan to shoot the ball the way they did against the three, our perimeter defense was extremely disappointing. And I don't know if it just was, again, Michigan's a smaller team, and it just, I don't know if it was matchups. I don't know what it was. I know Sailor was back in the lineup. I don't think that played a factor. I just think we just failed to make adjustments. And those type of things, a game of runs, especially allowing the not one, but 20-plus point leads in a game, that will hurt you in the tournament. And their shooters got hot, and we just had no answers for it. We just couldn't get enough stops. I thought we could. That's the most points we've actually allowed all season. And that's the first round. That's the first exit out the Big Ten, second one. But I still think, as a team, I don't think this loss hurt their hosting chances. I think the committee might be. I think it's going to be nice enough. But I think if they'd have made a significant run, I think it would have helped. But I think more than likely they're probably going to be no higher than a 6 seed at best. I thought our bench did well. Mira McLean, there was a while where she wasn't. In fairness, Emily Fisher was coming off the injury, so you kind of have to figure out the balance of minutes in that and off the bench. And Mira's been given great energy and great minutes off the bench for sure. Amari DeBerry as well, because Mira, especially her third double-digit scoring game of the season, so I like that for sure. But that's just the things we just gotta clean up but the perimeter defense, that's something I think is easily fixable. You won't see a Maryland defense, because you got to take pride in that, allowing 12 of 23 from that can't happen. But I think they'll definitely adjust to that. Outside of that, this season I've been extremely just fond and appreciative of the opportunity to cover the young women. It's been, like I said, it's been a season. One would argue, I think, if you had some significant pieces off the bench, again, if Bree was there, maybe if you had, Kendall, maybe if you had some of the other players, Izzy, others. But again, there's context in that. Izzy's coming off an ACL injury. Monty, Rihanna Williams, redshirted. Emma, I know, has been dealing with an injury, and Kendall had a hand injury. Injuries are a part of the game. Happens. But this, I think for the most part, I think if this team, if it was together last year, I could see why we've had struggles in certain aspects of the season. But you also got to understand, this season, it's just one season. That's takes time. And I think the chemistry's there. I think all of it's there. They just got to figure it out. I do want to actually, I actually responded to this tweet, and again, it's no shade. This notion that they were disinterested as a team, I disagree with that. I think when you say this, like when we say this, because words have power, right? So when you say disinterested, you're basically saying that they quit. And I watched the girls come back down from a 25-point deficit. Michigan was just a better team. We can say that. There's no shame in that. Should you take pride in how you play and on your defense, all those things? Sure. Everyone has games like that. I mean, because when you're saying disinterested, it comes across like, okay, like, well, who are you talking about? Like, well, I played well. Again, it happens. It's a bad loss. Is it a bad loss? Yes. Could they have played better in some moments? Sure. Let's just take it on the chin, regroup for the tourney. But I just think that disinterested is not. I think that wasn't a good word, in my opinion. But I do think that one thing I will say is that at times, and it doesn't have to be. It could be against in the non-conference games. Example, George Mason, when I covered them when they were down playing the Navy Classic tournament. Leadership. When I say leadership comes in different ways. Vocal leader, pointing people out. But like when the team is building a lead, or when the team is in a situation like Friday, okay. I'm when I say leadership, I'm saying, hey, y'all, this is a Big Ten tournament. Like, we can't be playing like this. Christina, I'm paraphrasing it in the post presser, I think said so along the lines of going to the locker room, feeling great, all those things. But there has to be some way, like waking people up. Like, okay, you know what? Y'all get on my back. I got this. I got us. At times this season, I feel like we've lacked that. And, you know, again, you know, like look at a couple years ago, I run to the Elite Eight. Diamond Miller was your leader. You could say throughout the time with Maryland, you know, you had when we won the championship, Chrissy Tolliver would be considered a leader. Marissa Coleman, Crystal Langhorne, Alyssa Thomas, leaders. Like when I look at this team, like I think it's when it gets tough in certain moments, like who's that one player that I can go to and say, yeah, that's the player I know that can get us to the promised land. I like, again, they're all capable of, they're all great players. Please not misconstrue my words. I just think that in moments like Friday, where you not only were down 25 points in the first quarter, but to go down 20 points again towards the end of the game, no, I'm sorry. Like, as a player, you got to take pride in that. I'm just saying, and I'm just speaking from the standpoint of, like, we got to light some fires under some butts. I mean, I'm not saying cuss somebody out, but I'm saying like waking some people up, you know. And you saw, like, again, the energy was there. Again, disinterest is not the word. I just think Michigan was just a better team. It happens. I mean, look at Illinois. They came in with a mission, and I said that was going to be the game where Coach Freeze was going to get our 600th win. Lost by 1 point. And in fairness, you know, I mean, that game is particularly, you know, we made some mistakes, and, you know, officiating was a little suspect, but that's besides the point. I just think that this year, for certain, at times, I kind of go like, because, I mean, your seniors obviously should be your leaders without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I just feel like in moments like that, it's kind of rallying everybody. And I kind of felt like at times that was missing. Right. That's just my opinion. And we can agree to disagree on that. But again, let's shake it off and let's be ready for the tourney. Plain and simple. But I will also say if this team had another season where they were gelled, all that, I think that you would see. This team kind of reminds me of the year after all the transfers, when we had Brene and Lavender and Abby Myers. That team there's some similarities with this team and that team in a way, but we just got to get ready for the tourney. I don't know who they'll play. I think Selection Sunday is Sunday actually, so we'll get to see who they play. It will be nice if they get one game at Xfinity. Crossing fingers for sure. But other than that, man, it's been one hell of a season. The Ohio State game obviously was the best. We all got to see Cotie McMahon throw up the birds at the student section of the game, where now she is a meme on Twitter. And that's why you see the title of the video, because we definitely got our payback. But other than that, and I just think it's been one hell of a season. It's been a pleasure covering the team. You can't win them all. And look, that's part of growth. That's part of the game. It's just how you learn, how you grow from it. And the team will be all right. But that's pretty much the debrief. If I had to really kind of do it all over again, I think where they were record wise, I think is fair. No, they actually finished as better. They were better at one point on the road, but they actually finished 11-4 at home and finished 10-1 on the road. So won 13 conference games. So I'll take that any day of the week. But some of these games, like the road trip, Oregon, Washington, we saw Kayleen Smichael go off against Washington. That was one hell of a game. That's probably actually one of my favorite games, actually. You just see individually, you see it. Like, I think it's right there. So I think it'll come together in the tournament. And they'll be ready for it, for sure. But the injuries do suck for sure, and it would be interesting to see where, with a little bit more time, a little bit more rest, we should be okay. But that's going to actually conclude this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Like I said, I'll give you more information on when's I think it's Sunday. I believe it's Sunday. I can know what time it is with the team. I did it last year, and that was actually fun. So I'm actually like, it's nice that actually doing it again. So for sure. But other than that, it's been fun. Appreciate the opportunity, as always, cover the team. You can follow my work on MarylandSportsblog.com. Again, shout out to the Maryland women's basketball team. Again, we're going to be all right. Losses suck, but losses are part of growth. And just got to take it on the chin, and we'll be all right. We'll be ready. But congratulations to Shai Sellers and Kayleen Smichael for making all Big Ten first team for sure. I was actually surprised Kayleen did not get any love by the coaches. She did get it from the media, but not the coaches. That was very, very weird. I would like to know Brenda could have got Coach of the Year for Big Ten, but that's okay. But we're all right. But anywho, that's enough for me. That's enough for me yabbing. I'm gonna get off. Let's talk soon. See you Thursday with our special guest for the WNBA free agency grades, and we'll preview Maryland men as well, because I think they just had their senior night as well. So we'll talk about that soon. Stay tuned for that. But please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate's.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you.